Hello, my name is Heather, and I'm with the Department of Health. Today, I'm going to be presenting the Home and Community-Based Services Settings Rule regarding the updated PCCP, and this training is specifically for new choice waiver and aging waiver. So today, we're going to review the following: an overview of the HCBS Settings Rule, how to bring adult day health services specifically into compliance with the settings rule, and we will review the implementation of the updated PCCP addendum. So let's talk a little bit about the settings rule. It is a federal rule that governs where and how services are provided to individuals receiving services under a Medicaid home and community-based waiver. All services that fall under Medicaid home and community-based waiver have to or will have to comply with this rule. That means all services that fall under the new choices waiver and the aging waiver have to comply with this rule. The effective date of the rule was March 17, 2014, and states must demonstrate compliance with the rule no later than March 17, 2023 for all existing services. This date has changed a couple of times, but currently states must demonstrate compliance no later than March 17, 2023. Now, if there are any new settings must be in compliance now before services are provided in the new setting. What does that mean? If a new setting is opened up, if a new setting is built, if a setting moves to a new setting, any of those are considered a new setting. The final rule establishes that mandatory requirements for the qualities of home and community-based services, settings that are not home and community-based, settings that are presumed not to be home and community-based, and then it also talks about what the state has to do to come into compliance and what the transition requirements are. But really, when we're talking about the settings rule, the underlying principle and goal of system transformation is really about community inclusion for all Medicaid HCBS participants. So there were some specific adult day health identified concerns for the services, and basically the biggest concern was that the structure of the current service can have the effect of isolating individuals from the greater community. And what this looks like in the current service model is that individuals typically live with their caregivers, and this service offers a safe place for them to go during the day. But often for these individuals, this is the only time they can leave their house other than medical appointments. And individuals in these types of programs typically don't leave the facility. And if they do, it is to go for a drive, and the individuals do not leave the vehicles. These settings use a lot of reverse integration. And I'll talk a little bit about what reverse integration is. And then the last big concern is the majority are locked facilities. So when we're talking about reverse integration, CMS has made it very clear that reverse integration activities are not sufficient to meet the true intent and spirit of this HCBS settings rule. And what it means is that it involves bringing people and activities from the broader community into the setting, into the facility, instead of supporting people in the setting to go out and access the broader community. And so we understand that visits by community members that come into the setting have value, but it cannot replace community access for individuals. So the state received the following technical assistance to bring adult daycare services into compliance with the settings rule. There were a few things that was recommended. The biggest one is to really concentrate on the person-centered planning process, and to ensure the person-centered care plan, or the PCCP, takes into account if individuals are accessing the community to the degree that they express they want to. Okay, and so what we will do as the SMA, the Department of Health, is we will need to interview individuals receiving services to ensure that they are accessing the community to the degree that they express in their person-centered plans. Now, this can be accomplished by opportunities through other means, such as natural supports, companion services, friends and family, etc. It doesn't have to be provided by the service as long as the individual's needs are being met. So one of the other things that they recommended is that we ensure that this is the least restrictive service that meets the individual's needs. It's very important. And that locked facilities have documented restrictions for individuals whom it applies to and have ensured there's a way for others to circumvent if they do not require the restriction. If the individual requires that restriction, then it has to be documented on modification sections of the PCCP. And if the individual does not require that restriction, the setting must have a way for the individual to circumvent the locked facility. And that can look like other individuals be given a key or a code or any other way, usually technology-based, that individuals can leave and come and go as they so choose. So we're really going to focus on the person-centered planning process today. And this process is an excellent opportunity to understand how to support the individual to make choices that meet their current needs and desires. So often the person-centered planning process, when we're talking about our older population, focuses on how they can maintain or accommodate their current stage of life. So for example, an individual who no longer has the strength or energy to pursue their lifelong hobbies may need to find accommodations to participate in those activities or may choose to explore new pastimes. Some individuals may explore new activities and forge new relationships. It is important that individuals are given the opportunity to be a part of their community in a way that is important to them. And the individual receives services in the community to the same degree of access as individuals not receiving services. So what this means is it truly has to be individualized. If this is an individual that's at end of life and really their goal is just to maintain their current status, not to be in pain, not to be in situations that they consider stressful. And if the community is considered stressful for them, then we need to make sure that their goals and their access is revolved around that. But if we have a very active senior that wants to get out and have lunch with their friends and meet new people and do new things, we need to make sure that we are supporting them to do that as well. So you'll hear facilitating opportunity a lot, and we use it to describe what is required of the setting. So what does facilitating opportunity mean? The requirement of facilitating opportunity can look different depending on the circumstances. So these are the following ways that facilitating opportunity can look like. The setting provides the resources required, and that could include transportation, activities, funding, support staff, etc. Or the setting provides training and or support to access those same resources not provided by the setting. Public transportation, how to contact a case coordinator or natural support, budgeting, etc. Okay, so it's not necessarily that the setting has to provide all the resources. They need to facilitate the opportunity to be able to access those resources. That's very important. And the intention of facilitating opportunity is to ensure that individuals have the same opportunities that are given to others without disabilities, and individuals receive the support they require to access these same opportunities to the level that they desire. So how do we facilitate this conversation and find out the information that we find out to be able to support people? Here are some questions that can be used to facilitate the conversation. What does the individual want more or less of in their life? Who does the individual want to spend time with? What new things would the individual like to do or experience? What are some things the individual would like to continue doing or maintain doing? What does the individual like to do in their free time? What activities is the individual interested in? This could include volunteering, hobbies, recreational, seasonal activities. Maybe someone really likes the Christmas season, and that's really the only time of year that it's important for them to get out and do things. What supports are needed to maintain activities or explore new activities in the community? What do they need to be safe? Who will provide these supports? Is it companion services? Is it natural supports? You know, how are we going to make sure that when they're out in the community that they are safe? Specifically for those that are choosing to receive adult day health services, is this the least restrictive service that meets their needs? So we have updated the PCCP addendum for both aging waiver and new choices waivers. There is a new section on the PCCP addendum that is called My Community Integration Preferences. Okay, so this is brand new. It's been added on to the PCCP addendum. So I'll just go through what this looks like. Okay, so it says, I understand that it is important to receive the opportunity to access the community to the degree that I choose. And then there are 4 different areas to fill in on this section. So the first is activities that are important to me. So those previous questions that we went over, what is it that's important for them? And that includes maintaining activities that they've already done, exploring new activities that they want to explore. You want to put all that information under here. And then what supports I need to access my community? Okay, again, these are questions that we asked on the previous slide. What supports do they need to be successfully in their community, accessing their community? What are those things that need to be in place to make sure that they can do that? How often I desire to go out into the community. Okay, so how often do they want to go out? Like I said, you might have someone that the holiday season is really important to them to be able to participate in those community activities, and the rest of the year, maybe they don't want to go out as often. That's what you'd put under here. Okay, and then the last part is other considerations regarding my access to the community. So one of the questions we get a lot is about the previous question, how often I desire to go out into the community. Well, some people might want to go out every single day, and they might want to do things that take a lot of resources, whether those resources are transportation or money or supports. And what is realistic? And how much support are we expecting of providers to be able to meet people's needs and desires? So it has to be individualized. I mean, when we're talking about a PCCP, right, and person-centered planning, we have to make sure that the whole process is individualized. But this is where you will put down the team discussion of around their desires and what the services can provide. Okay, so when we're talking about an individual that wants to go fishing, let's say 3 times a week, and their favorite fishing spot is an hour away, is that something that the service is going to be able to accommodate? Well, of course, that you may be able to sometimes and not all the time. But realistically, you know, maybe they can go to that fishing spot that's an hour away once a month. And then on the other days, you can find either closer areas, even though it may not be a preferred area, or you can help the individual and train the individual how to get there independently if that is appropriate for that individual. Or you can help set them up with a community resource or natural resource that may be able to take them another day a month. So really what we're looking for here is that you are providing the opportunity, remember we went over that earlier, for individuals to be able to get out to as much as they desire. That might not always happen though. What we're looking for here is what was agreed upon on how we're going to meet the individual's needs, because sometimes if they want to go fishing every day an hour away, that's not going to be possible. But what we're looking for is how you're facilitating that opportunity for the individual to be able to still be able to meet his needs with that desire. So let's talk about the timeline a little bit. So implementation timeline for this new updated PCCP addendum, we need to update all the PCCPs for individuals receiving adult day health services no later than July 1st of 2021, okay? Now that means if they have adult day services on their care plan, even if it's not being provided at this moment, due to COVID or other reasons, if they have the service authorized, then their PCCP needs to be updated. For anybody that does not have adult day health services authorized on their care plan, then you can update their PCCP addendums during their next scheduled update, whenever that may be. Okay. So on the state side, we will be working with providers to ensure that service delivery is person-centered. So for example, providers must have a process where individuals who are receiving services are giving input to what the daily schedule looks like and includes. Now, does that mean that they have to have an individualized schedule for every single person that's receiving that service? Not necessarily, but whatever their schedule looks like, whether they do it daily or weekly or monthly, we want to make sure that individuals are able to get input to what that schedule looks like, that they're able to add activities that are important to them, make recommendations to try new things, or maybe they don't want to do bingo on Tuesdays anymore. They want to do them on Fridays, or maybe they don't want to do bingo at all. We just need to make sure that providers have a process in place to take that all into account. And then the state will be interviewing individuals at the setting to ensure individuals receiving services are assessing their community to the degree that they express in their PCCP. And so on our side, we do have to validate that what is in their PCCP is happening. Okay. So here's some additional resources for everyone. One of the things that we have is we have an HCBS newsletter for the HCBS settings. And so that is where you can find how to sign up for that. We would highly recommend that everybody sign up for this newsletter. This is how all additional guidance and setting news will be communicated all the way through that 2023 implementation deadline. We don't send things out all the time, so you won't be spammed with this newsletter typically. We try to send something out once a month, but not much more than that. We also have a web page that is for the HCBS Settings Rule, so that link is there as well. And then we have an email, hcbssettings@utah.gov. If you have any questions or you would like to go over any specific circumstances or discuss a specific setting or provider, go ahead and reach out via that email. All right. I hope this was helpful for everyone. Like I said, if you have any questions, reach out via that email. And thank you for all the services you provide for the individuals that we serve. We greatly appreciate it. Have a great day.